At number 8, it's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this number might surprise some folks because last year they went 11-4. They go to Norman, they get a win, the first team to win on the road in the college football playoff. However, it was ugly. The last time we saw the Tide, it was really ugly. Indiana beat them 38-3. And in the second half, especially, it didn't feel that close. So this is year number 3 for Kalen DeBoer. And everyone circling Tuscaloosa, everyone talking about the state of the Tide, they're focusing on the New Year's Day result. And right now, Alabama doesn't have a starting quarterback. So for them to be 8, like, how does that make sense? What? How? Why? Well, let me walk you through it. And let's assess the quarterback situation honestly. Look, Ty Simpson was amazing. First-round pick last year. And right now, it's a live competition between Austin Mack and Keelan Russell. And if you look at those guys, I mean, Keelan Russell was the number 2 quarterback in the country just a couple years ago. And Mack, he's in his 4th year in the system. And a lot of people say, well, he might be the smartest guy on the team as far as understanding the offense and the terminology. He was also the first quarterback off the bench when Ty Simpson got banged up in the Rose Bowl last year. So he entered the offseason in front, and then spring happened. And Keelan Russell really closed that gap. He went for an impressive performance in their spring game. Mack was a little banged up. So there's been some smoke out of Tuscaloosa since, saying that Russell didn't just close the gap, but maybe in some cases have passed him. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Not at this point, but the timing detail matters. Last year, Kalen DeBoer named Ty Simpson the starter on August 11th. That was right after the first scrimmage of fall camp. And he's already said this year that he thinks that this might go beyond the second scrimmage. In an ideal world, a guy separates. He's named the guy after that second scrimmage. You start focusing on week 1, 2, and 3 opponents. That might not be the case. So this may be settled here sooner than later, but it could draw out a little bit. But here's the other thing. Whichever one they go with, I think they're going to be just fine at quarterback. A lot of things around Alabama, there are question marks for sure. Quarterback for me is not one of them. I think quarterback, when we fast forward to week 5, 6, 7, 8 in the season, I think that will be a position of strength for the Crimson Tide. And look, you can't play quarterback by yourself. You bring back Ryan Coleman-Williams, and while he might be on paper the only returning starter that Alabama has on offense, they still have a right guard that played an awful lot but doesn't qualify because he didn't start 6 games. You also have Lottie Brooks as the slot receiver. He played a lot but didn't start, so he doesn't qualify as well. But there is a lot of news surrounding the offense that might be good because the offensive line really underachieved throughout last season. So a bunch of new faces up front could actually make this group jump significantly. What's also beneficial is that Ryan Grubb is in year number 2 running the offense. Kane Womack is back running the defense for the 3rd straight year. So first year, maybe installing, adjusting, getting to know their personnel. Now it feels like there's decent coaching continuity in the defensive line based on what we've heard in fall camp. That might be the biggest surprise. They went to the portal. They go get Devin Tompkins from SC. They get Terrence Green from Oregon. You get Kendrick Billing-Jones from Mississippi State. These are 3 veteran interior players in one offseason. So they feel like the depth along the defensive line is really good. They're also saying this might be the most versatile defensive line of the DeBoer era. And on the offensive line, we've talked about Michael Carroll, William Sanders, and Jackson Lloyd. Those guys look like they're in a really good spot there at guard and tackle respectively, but don't rule out Mal Waldrop. Rayson Delgado's at centers, a bigger frame, but still athletic, much like the guy Parker Brailsford they lost last year. And Javen James appears to be sliding in at right tackle. So those pieces are starting to settle. And there's a ton of talent on both lines of scrimmage. It's just, can they play well together? You have an edge rusher in Yanze Pierre that can take over the game, and you have one of the best secondaries in the country. So are there concerns beyond the quarterback and maybe some new pieces? Of course. There's a running back room that feels like it's 5 deep, but it's certainly unsettled. The wide receiver room is really young, and yet it's really thin as well. But the roster feels loaded. However, we keep going back to that one word, young. And young is not necessarily a synonym for bad. It's just a synonym for volatile. And I think Alabama this year has a chance to be last year's version of Oregon, a team where everybody said, hey, 26 is the year. Fast forward, next year's the year. And then they go on and win 11 games because they have really, really good talent. Now, the projections land them around 8-4, and there is a legitimate playoff path, though, because the schedule is more manageable than some of the teams that sit right behind them. and some of the teams that sit right in front of them. Yes, Alabama on paper plays the 15th hardest schedule in America, which sounds really, really difficult, but you look at what Oklahoma plays, that's the second. You look at Texas, they play the third. A&M plays the ninth. So of every serious SEC national championship contender, Alabama might have drawn the most manageable road. And that's worth something when you fast forward to November. So the concern is not talent, it's not coaching. It's a team that's really young at a lot of different spots, all coming together at once. And believe me, eighth is kind of trusting the roster and the schedule and waiting on the experience to catch up. But if they can settle on the quarterback job here very soon, then this ranking is probably going to feel about right. But if this competition is ongoing, or maybe they have to make a switch, that's something that could become problematic. So there's not a lot of middle ground right now with a team that's this talented and unsettled at one position that could very well decide everything. But I am more optimistic about Alabama than just about anybody else in the national media.